So I was at the store the other day, and I just happened to find out that DC released another animated movie. And I was completely unaware of it. I didn't see any promos or trailers or anything for this. So I would have never known this existed if I had not seen it at the store. Yeah, I think they're real slick. Nice try, DC. Try to slip one past me? Well, guess what? Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too good. I will catch it. Wait, that's Marvel. Vixen, the movie, based on the character Vixen from DC Comics. Stop me if I'm going too fast. So, I don't know much about Vixen other than I saw her a couple times in Justice League and I think Batman Brave and the Bold and stuff like that. I've never read any of the comics or anything, so I don't know a whole lot about this character other than what her powers are. From what I understand, this movie takes place in the Arrowverse, which is the universe that the live-action DC TV shows take place in. So you got Arrow, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. And characters from all three shows show up in this movie, and they're all played by the actors that portray them on TV. Unfortunately, I've never seen any of the shows, so as usual, I'm pretty much just going to judge this for what it is. I'm bad at this. Vixen is voiced by... hang on. Megalyn Echikunwoke. Echikunwoke? I am so sorry if I got that wrong. Names are hard, but it is interesting to note that Megalyn also voiced Vixen in the Injustice 2 video game that recently came out, and she actually played Vixen in live action on Arrow. So as to be expected, the movie is an origin story for the character, which is really good for someone like me, or maybe someone else who's not really familiar with her. And the origin story is usually the best part of any superhero story, which is really good. I don't know how accurate it is to the comics or anything like that, but what is there is really good. The movie looks really good. It seems about on par with a lot of the animated DC movies that have come out recently. The animation, though, is not as good as, say, Teen Titans Judas Contract or some of the other more recent ones that have come out. It's also a little bit less risque than, say, Justice League Dark, but then again, that went to extremes. The animation on the fight scenes, however, were really good. They were really fast-paced, really fluid, really exciting. But here's the thing about this movie. It's not actually a movie. This was a web series that came out not too long ago, and they recently repackaged it as Vixen the movie. And the problem with that is movies have a beginning, middle, and end. You know, usually a 3-act structure. Whereas a series will go through story arcs. And that's pretty much what this did. Things did feel a little strange while I was watching it at first, but then I went and found out that it was a series, and it made a little bit more sense. So it goes through pretty much 3 story arcs where she learns about her past, learns to use her powers, and then at the end of the whole thing she fights some villain. And it does all tie together really nice. But there were times where it felt a bit repetitive, because there was a lot of scenes where she would be going through some trouble, and then she would go see her father, and they would have coffee in their kitchen, and I think they used that scene like 3 or 4 times throughout this whole movie. The origin story stuff was really good, and like I said before, that's usually the best part of any superhero story. I liked how she had to accept her powers, and she had to understand how her powers work, because her whole thing is she has a talisman that gives her the power of any animal. So she can be a rhinoceros and charge through anything, or she can be a bird and she can fly, things like that. And the whole thing was she had to actually understand the animals in order to use her powers. She had to pretty much become the animal. She had to think like the animals. And what I did find kind of funny was, to do that, she actually got a job at a zoo. And I thought that was both kind of hilarious, but really clever at the same time. On a side note, there was a really funny moment at the zoo. It was a joke involving one of the gorillas that she was looking after. And it was kind of an obvious joke, but it was still really good. I also like that it's slow, which makes sense considering it's actually a series. But it does take its time to establish things, establish characters, and slowly she starts to accept her powers, and she doesn't become Vixen until much later on, and it worked out really well. So this movie was really good, but it seems kind of unusual that they would have an animated movie or series or whatever that actually connects to a live-action TV show, or rather 3 live-action TV shows. I mean, it'd be like saying Big Hero 6 is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which it's not, which is a shame. Although, actually, it's worked out pretty well for Star Wars, because they got Rebels and Clone Wars, and they're part of the Star Wars universe. You know what, I don't really know what kind of point I'm trying to make here. Just skip to the next thing. I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe they should have held off on this and instead repackaged it to be part of the DC animated universe they have for their direct-to-DVD movies. Because if you had told me that this was part of that universe, I would have believed you. Because, like I said before, it's the same studio that does it. It's Warner Brothers. And it looks pretty much identical. In fact, it would have fit right in had it not be for the connections with Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. But again, it was really good. But that's all I got for Vixen the movie. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. And if you're familiar with the Arrowverse and you've seen this movie, let me know how well it connects to it. My name is Rob, and have a wonderful day.